Flying with 22 of the best drivers in the world. In 2026, will it be Russell? 1 year ago. It's attacking laps, and it's one of the ultimate tests on Earth. 26. The last 4 winners in a here, but he is on the back foot. They'll lead him we go to take you to the pit like this one. Round 3. Core temperature is 32 degrees. The air temperature is former Renault Formula 1 driver. A man who...
Two of the best drivers in the world, but also one of the best circuits where you just have to feel it out. There's all just on feel and confidence through the middle part as well. Degners, the final chicane. Can you get it stopped? Can you? It's a real thrill driving around here. As you can see, clear skies.
But was top of the timing page. Mercedes are second ahead of the championship leader. That's George Russell. Is Charles Leclerc 1 point ahead of Lando Norris. Has lost. Try to retain the title. Max Verstappen, not minor tweaks, fundamentals.
On the pecking order, Max takes the different style of racing and there to pull out of the bag when we get in China was difficult. The bipods slope down more enough with what they're doing, but they're still suffering. Have been going on in the last couple of hours to be struggling to make it into Q3. There's drivers looking to pit maybe the red
flying hour, and it's underway with a green light at the end. A special race for Honda on collaborators together. Plenty of crowd is that there is support for
on an outlap, and one of the best attended on the calendar. You can see up on the for quite a treat coming up. Confident of making it through. They'd go out right on the green if they're really quick and throw everything at this. The 2 Haas cars, Ocon and Behrman, out there as well. Martins, the Cadillacs, and the Williams.
Beautiful sound through there. A reminder for you, see, that's the change to the rules for grid, which is Cadillac. They're about 3 seconds off the pace.
Slow run to the line, out of the final corner. Not the easiest for deployment around Hector, as you are just blending through the... You get to this moment, and now we're starting to ride in the curbs. Very easy to split the car. Little hint of a lock-up for Lawson. This is the key areas now where you're stretching your legs towards Spoon. But he's having to harvest an active aero in place, so the rear wing opens towards the final chicane. Traction, but it's neat enough for Liam Lawson.
Scrape the paint off the wall. Push to Suzuka, and he's on the first. It's gone over the line, 2.7 seconds away, all the way back to Silverstone. Certainly been the lead Aston Martin.
It was 2 years of out-qualifying Lance Stroll.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
2 traffic, you might have something go wrong yet back in between the 2 Aston Martins as well. For almost the only time there we go, now we launch it with Oscar as Oscar blends out. It does a buzz now through turn 3 quickly as the MG UK kicks in, and we head towards
by a mile. Not sedate on the exit of the sector, hoping tomorrow to start his first run. Was not able to take the starting grid. The issues because of the loss of track time for the session up against the Mercs yesterday. Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, McLaren hoping to start of the race tomorrow. And once again, Piastri comes through and into the lower reach of the 29 down. We mentioned before, catching up on problems as well through the weekend. And
McLaren's Hamilton wearing a white crash Formula 1 career. Charles Leclerc 0.3 of a second ahead of Piastri, Hamilton, Norris, then both Mercedes pair. And our most recent World Championship history last time out in China.
The first corner, and he picks a downshift through there, hustling through a little bit more on the Ferrari. That car is still very quick through the corners, but missing the back of this car and Piastri's McLaren. The inside and sweep around towards Spoon, another car in front.
Kimi Antonelli with the driver who's currently in 16th place. Not a great and made Q3 here, and so far by 400 into the triangle chicane at that Mercedes, and he comes across.
Particularly happy with the brakes on that opening lap in Q1, and the field's done a great job. The 2 Red Bulls up in 6th and 8th, both picture in picture on another flying lap. He's got a bit more in the locker to between the apexes of the chicane for Norris.
So far this weekend, it's an Ozzy, Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, and now 5th Audi visit to Suzuka.
Yeah, something that feels really odd, but then...
So Russell, rear grip, in these sort of corners here, are exactly, because I've been on the radio saying, okay, we'll have a look at Kernor. They've lost the sweet spot of the car in the last run of this Q1.
Of the racetrack, he's up on Kimi Antonelli in 2018, looking to avoid the back teammate Sergio Perez as it stands in the first part of the race.
And they've nudged that time down even more. Out, but you can see no personal best out of that first curve, and generally not taking as much. Doesn't slow him down too much though. Still quick through that final.
It all adds up to a spectacular qualifying in the drop zone. Alex Albon ahead of Fernando Alonso.
So Leclerc's done his best last. So Mercedes, Russell's come through the pits and has gone out again. On. Will he be at the bottom? Alex Albon very close to perfect lap. They can get through it. This is the closest it's been so far in qualifying.
Circuit that runs to 18 corners. A year ago, one of his very best efforts.
It's the sort of circuit a driver can threading it through the S's at the start of the lap, king on the limit of oversteer is just hairpin in the middle. It's so easy to lock up, run wide, and missing your exit, or worse, spinning like last year. And 4. Dunlop.
Any fast hands through that part through there. Verstappen making
some punchy inputs to trying straight to throttle in between with Oscar there earlier on. Max, as I said, and he's on the same set of tyres as is.
On outlaps, Verstappen going early, but he does not have an improvement in the sign. He's ahead of the Audi of Nico Hulkline. He does not improve hundredths of a second behind. We will see whether Alex
was bigging up his near 2-year reign over long. They're having such a bad weekend in terms of Cadillacs have got a second to make to a Williams as well. We go then, Albon on a final lap of Q1. That'd be a real coup for a team struggling. Personal best coming in everywhere.
Improvement for Esteban Ocon. They all require next part of qualifying on one occasion. That equal laps, Williams have failed to progress to give himself an opportunity. P3
gets back ahead of the Williams. Is going to be
Albon does improve, but plenty still on push laps behind. Lawson,
having been a hero for the first 2 weekends of the year, Alonso gets ahead of Stroll.
Collar Pickett, P6 for Hulkenberg.
The Albon at the bottom of the field. No Perez as well to look out for Cadillac Prix.
Piastri going very quickly in the middle from returning to the points, has made it through. Alonso getting ahead of Stroll to pressure lap, and Alex Albon into the second part of qualifying. The first part of qualifying.
Con 14th. Just thought he'd have a little bit more pace. Haas obviously not.
Esteban Ocon with a 1:30.9. Alonso and Stroll the 6 to 4. Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton ahead of Norris and Verstappen, and making it work. Not much between the Williams pair, 1/10 of a second between it through into Q2 for the first time in his form. April break, the unexpected.
While the rest of the Formula One world is focused on the RB20's dominance and the Suzuka qualifying sessions, a much quieter, more significant shift is happening inside the Aston Martin hospitality suite. It's not about a new front wing or a floor update. It's about a man who has spent 40 years winning, and 4 months realizing that winning in 2026 requires a different kind of architecture. As of today, March 28, 2026, Adrian Newey, the most successful designer in the history of the sport, is reportedly preparing to step down as team principal of Aston Martin. To the casual observer, this looks like a failure. To those who understand the Newey method, it looks like an emergency surgery. The rumors swirling through the Suzuka paddock suggest that Newey is vacating the principal's chair to return to the only place he has ever truly wanted to be, the drawing board. And he isn't doing it alone. He has identified the one man who can handle the politics, while he handles the physics, Jonathan Wheatley. The timing of this move isn't accidental. We are 3 races into the 2026 season, and for Aston Martin, the dream partnership with Honda has started as a nightmare. In Melbourne, Newey did something we almost never see from a senior technical figure. He held a press conference that was described as extraordinary. He didn't talk about downforce. He talked about human biology. He revealed that the Honda power unit is suffering from vibrations so violent they are physically damaging the battery systems and, more alarmingly, causing nerve damage in Fernando Alonso's hands. When a designer of Newey's caliber goes public with a failure this specific, he isn't complaining. He is building a case. Just like Fred Vasseur at Ferrari, Newey has realized that the 2026 regulations have a trap door, a way out for teams that are struggling. As we discussed with Ferrari's strategy, the FIA's ADO mechanism is the only lifeline left in a frozen engine era. But while Ferrari is calculating their way into that window, Newey and Aston Martin are bleeding their way into it by publicly documenting the on-drivability of the Honda engine. Newey is ensuring that when the first ADO evaluation window closes after Monaco, the FIA has no choice but to grant Aston Martin the maximum tier of upgrades, the 4% deficit bracket. This would unlock 30% more test bench hours and 2 mid-season engine redesigns. But Newey has realized something else in these first 4 months. He cannot be the doctor and the hospital administrator at the same time. The report from Motorsport Com Italy suggests that Lawrence Stroll has already made the move to bring in Jonathan Wheatley from Audi to take over the day-to-day running of the team. Wheatley and Newey are the old guard of the Red Bull glory years. They speak the same language. By bringing Wheatley in, Newey is effectively insulating himself from the corporate pressure of the Aston Martin boardroom, allowing him to focus 100% of his cognitive energy on the AMR26 fatal flaw. The integration between the Honda block and the chassis. The situation with Honda is more nuanced than a simple, bad engine. HRC President Koji Watanabe recently hit back at claims of a disaster, suggesting the issues are a misunderstanding of how the hybrid deployment was mapped. But in the wind tunnel at Silverstone, the facility Newey himself called the best in F1, the data is telling a different story. The 2026 cars are energy limited. They are smaller, lighter, and rely on a 50-50 split between internal combustion and electrical power. Newey warned us in 2024 that these rules were scary. Now he is living that fear. The AMR26 is reportedly clipping halfway down the straights, leaving Alonso and Stroll as sitting ducks for the Mercedes and Red Bull Ford-powered cars. Newey's strategy for Suzuka and the upcoming European leg is clear: survival through documentation. He is letting the world see the struggle so that the rules are forced to change in his favor. Is he stepping down? Technically, yes, but in reality he is stepping back to the position where he is most dangerous. He is clearing the deck of administrative meetings and sponsor appearances to lead a skunkworks project within Aston Martin. If Wheatley arrives and Newey returns to the drawing board, the second version of the 2026 Aston Martin, the one triggered by the ADO window in July, could be the most radical car on the grid. Newey didn't come to Aston Martin to be a CEO. He came to beat the regulations. And as we've seen throughout his career at Williams, McLaren, and Red Bull, the moment everyone thinks Adrian Newey is beaten is exactly when he's found the loophole that changes everything. The next chapter doesn't start on the podium. It starts in the data logs of the FIA's torque sensors. While the paddock processes the news of Jonathan Wheatley's arrival and Adrian Newey's strategic retreat to the design office, a far more aggressive story is hidden inside the Silverstone wind tunnel. There is a reason Newey isn't panicking about the nerve damage, vibrations, or the battery clipping on the straights. It's because the car Fernando Alonso is driving today in Japan is not the car Adrian Newey intended to finish the season with. As of March 28, 2026, internal technical circles suggest that Aston Martin is effectively running a transitional chassis. Behind the scenes, Newey has authorized the development of a B-spec AMR26, a project so radical it reportedly abandons the current cooling architecture and engine mounting strategy entirely. The problem isn't just that the Honda engine is vibrating, it's that the vibration is a symptom of a fundamental harmonic mismatch. In the 2026 regulations, the split between the internal combustion engine and the 350 kW ERSK is a delicate, high-frequency dance. If the crankshaft and the motor generator unit aren't perfectly synced, you don't just lose power, you create a mechanical earthquake that travels through the carbon fiber tub and into the driver's spine. Newey's second act is centered on a concept the industry is calling decoupled integration. Standard design logic says you bolt the engine directly to the chassis as a stressed member to maximize rigidity. But Newey, working with the technical team at Silverstone, is rumored to be testing a proprietary dampening system that floats the Honda power unit within a sub-frame. This would be a massive weight penalty under normal rules. But here is where the ADUO mechanism changes the math. By qualifying for the 4% performance deficit bracket, the highest tier of FIA assistance, Aston Martin doesn't just get to fix the engine. They receive a reduction in their power unit cost cap and a massive 30% increase in test bench hours. This is the financial and technical loophole Newey needs. He is cashing in the performance deficit of March to pay for a total redesign in July. But there is a second, even more secretive part of the Newey plan. It involves the Z mode active aerodynamics. The 2026 cars rely on movable wings to reduce drag on the straights. However, early data from Suzuka shows that the Aston Martin is hunting. The wings are oscillating between high and low drag modes, because the Honda engine cannot provide a consistent torque curve to satisfy the aero sensors. It's a software nightmare. Newey's return to the drawing board is specifically to rewrite the aerodynamic brain of the car. He is reportedly moving away from the FIA's standard mapping and developing a predictive algorithm that adjusts the wing angles before the engine loses its electrical boost. This is why the Jonathan Wheatley appointment is the final piece of the puzzle. While Newey is solving the harmonic earthquake and the X mode oscillation, Wheatley will be the one in the FIA bungalows, arguing the technicalities of the torque sensor data. He is there to ensure that every vibration Alonso feels is documented as a safety concern, making it impossible for the FIA to deny Aston Martin the right to bring an entirely new engine architecture to the Hungarian Grand Prix on July 26. The Newey method has always been about making the car an extension of the rules. In the 1990s it was active suspension. In the 2010s it was blown diffusers. In 2026, it is regulatory arbitrage. Knowing exactly when to fail so that you are legally allowed to rebuild. The Ferrari camp is watching closely. Fred Vasseur knows that if Newey successfully triggers that 4% ADUO tier, Aston Martin will have more development freedom in the second half of 2026 than any other team on the grid. It's a high-stakes gamble. If the B-spec car fails, Newey's legacy at Aston Martin ends before it truly begins. But if he's right, the AMR 26 you see today is just a ghost, a placeholder for a machine that hasn't even hit the track yet. As the sun sets over the Suzuka circuit, the message from the Aston Martin garage is clear: don't look at the lap times, look at the calendar. The real 2026 season begins in Hungary. Subscribe to F1 Perspective. We are tracking every vibration and every sensor log as the Newey masterplan unfolds. Is subscribed to Global Formula Apex. The Newey era at Aston is just beginning, but not in the way you expected.